Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Tech Bites. We have a great session in store for you. We're doing all demo Veeam software appliance. My name is Kirsten Stoner, and I'm here today with Rick. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, Kirsten, doing well. We are live. I got it up here right here on the phone. There's a little bit of latency. You'll see the intro just splashed. We're dealing with the internet today, so got some kind of situations we're sorting through, but I'm on the hook for all demo and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I know back 12 years ago, a lot of our customers were like, we want an appliance, we want an appliance. And now we have an appliance. And it's really an awesome thing because not only is it, easy to deploy, but it's already pre-hardened, it has integrated immutability and, automated patching. So really excited to show our audience today how to get started with it, right?
Yeah. So first up, before we jump into this, sorry, Jeff, the producer, we got to do the map. Kirsten and I are in Central Ohio. Lady Megatron, one of the producers, is also in Central Ohio. And then Felicia, one of our producers, is in Texas. We got to make this map green. So let us know in the chat. I've got LinkedIn there. I've got YouTube over there. And we got Felicia looking over all the things. Let us know where you're from. And Kirsten, okay, so we're gonna spend a lot of time here, so we'll focus in on the screen. But if we say yes to the Veeam software appliance, the first thing folks need to do is go into My Veeam, which is your account portal. And you can just go right here and you'll see it says Veeam Software Appliance version 13. And I'm going to go ahead and go into the download and explain one of the big things that you'll have as a choice first off. So if you are going to download the Veeam Software Appliance, you have two real questions. One is, are you going to install it on physical hardware or another hypervisor? And that would be the bootable ISO option. And then the second scenario is if you're going to put it on a VMware virtual machine, we have an OVA. Now, I've already downloaded this one, and then I guess the last thing I want to draw your attention to is 13.01.2067. We'll come back to that. I've already downloaded that. And then in here is my file share. So I have the ISO on disk, and you'll see I have a few others as well, from the history here. So I've got just a couple of different versions of these ISOs on disk. And, when I say we're dealing with the internet today, I think you're seeing what I'm talking about here. So we have some limited, the screen share is giving us the business here. But once you have that on the system, once you have that on disk, what you're going to want to do is then decide where you're going to put it. So I'm going to put it on Hyper-V. And I would say for a virtual machine, there is that OVA option. We like to recommend, especially for repositories, putting them on physical hardware. If you do put it on physical hardware, check out the Veeam Ready server appliance qualifications at the Veeam Ready partner database. But I'm going to OS disk size, a feature yet came in, questions already. Coming in 13.1, so soon. We have a whole bunch of enhancements coming for 13.1. But let me go ahead and start this. So I'm using Hyper-V, okay? And then the first question you're going to get when you boot up is what you want to do with the ISO. So I have the ISO on this system here. Let me double check I have it on this system. Yeah, I have it on this system. So let's take a look here. All right, here we go. So when you power on, and friends, I apologize for the resolution. We were struggling trying to get this right. Now it's funny. The camera's working, but now the screen share is coming through with limited quality. And like I said, we're at the mercy of the internet here today. What I want to show you here is there's an option, and I'm trying to get my Zoom it to get this a little bit better for you. But basically, the first option is, what do you want to install? Veeam Backup and Replication, Veeam Enterprise Manager, or do some low-level hardware. I'm going to do Veeam Backup and Replication And what I want to draw your attention to is this really important option right here, which is to run. I'm trying to get my Zoom it here going a little bit tighter for you, so sorry about that. The first option is, do you want to install a fresh install, or do you want to repair? Now, I can tell you, I had a scenario at home where I forgot some of the credentials. And that reinstall, keep backups, erase the settings, etc. I did that on a Veeam hardened repository, the VHR. That actually was really helpful because I forgot my password. But I'm going to do a fresh install. So this is the first option you get, whether you're doing Veeam Backup and Replication or Enterprise Manager. Now, when it comes to Enterprise Manager, you want to do that first, then Veeam Backup and Replication. And then as you scale your deployment, you may want to also deploy Veeam Infrastructure Appliances, which are roles like proxies, repositories, etc. So I'm going to say yes to this option. And what happens is this system gets prepared for receiving the Veeam software appliance. And you might wonder, there was one question already that came in from R. Bowie about resizing. And the answer to that is that's coming, but you know this because you started with the system requirements. The system requirements are to have 2 disks and an amount of memory and network connectivity, etc. Those are documented at helpcenter.veeam.com. So I already have that set, but there's 2 disks. One has to be, I believe, 240 gigabytes or more, and the second has to be 2 terabytes or more. But you'll get this very important question. Do you want to wipe everything on the local system? Okay, I'm going to say yes to that. Now, what happens here, and by the way, the Veeam software appliance, pre-hardened, pre-configured, it's running Rocky Linux. So Rocky Linux is a type of Linux, and we've also applied a DISA STIG hardening profile to it. Now, I've talked a lot here, Kirsten, but on these questions so far, just booting up, any observations or questions on your side on this type of setup?
Yeah, so I see that you're deploying this and on a Hyper-V server, Hyper-V machine, right? But can I deploy this on a physical machine or even like a cloud instance, for example?
You can go on a physical server, such as like a rack mount server, tower server, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend folks look at the Veeam Ready Appliance qualification list for the specific configs that are validated there, but it works basically everywhere as long as this much memory, this much disk, this much CPU is there. It works on all of those. Not yet in the public cloud, for one, because we don't have this type of console access that we have right here, right? So there's a challenge there. Directionally, we have an answer for that. We'll start making those paths known at Veeam On, which we'll talk about here in a second. We actually have a really good amount of folks tuning in, which is awesome. But once you say yes to this, what happens is the Veeam software appliance is being built, right? So the packages are being downloaded, put on this operating system. And I will say I'm going to do a little trick, okay? Because this progress bar takes, and my last time that I ran it in this environment, it took 17 minutes. I put down the notes here. Now, I don't know about you, but Kirsten, do you want to see a progress bar run for 17 minutes?
No, I don't. I mean, sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it stops. It's a little longer, but today I feel like with the time constraints, we should speed it up a little bit, right?
That's right. We are going to do a little bit of magic of television. The producers tell us the map is ready, so let's go ahead and take a look at the map real quick. And again, great tune-ins coming from Canada, we've got New York State, several folks in Canada, so welcome. And then over in Europe, we got Slovakia and Germany in the house. Let's go to South America. We got Colombia. We then have an APAC region. We have Thailand. Wow, that's late at night, early in the morning. So thanks for joining. Good stuff. And just like that, through the magic of television, I have concluded that 18-minute progress bar. Now, let me explain what I'm doing here. I had a second system with the same setup ready to go. at this thing. So you can skip through the progress bar. Let me see if I can get us through. Maybe that'll help a little bit. After you say yes, and after the progress bar is done, we've got start with the licensing. Okay, so this is the licensing, the EULA. Think of any installable software, you really have that option. I'm going to say yes to that. So this is live, by the way. You can see the time on the bottom right. It's on Pacific time, so it does pretty good. Now I'm going to type in a host name, but Kirsten, do you have any recommendations for making a host name for the Veeam software appliance?
I would make it the same name as the machine that I created and I'm deploying it on, right? So if I created a machine in Hyper-V, I called it VPS slash VSA slash VBR or something, I would make it that same name because if you don't make it that same name, right, you might run into some DNS issues. Right, Rick?
Oh
If
yeah,
I think I'm thinking on the right track.
you
Um,
are. Yeah, you
yeah.
are.
And then I would say, since you're doing this, we did get a question from the audience. It was asking about the hardened repository. Is it included in the ISO for this?
Yes. So a default installation of the Veeam software appliance will make that second drive, that 2 terabyte or larger drive, a VHR, a Veeam hardened repository. We're actually contemplating another Tech Bytes. Let's get this other thing sorted out when it looks good. But we're contemplating doing the same concept just for the Veeam infrastructure appliance. So I'd have the Veeam software appliance set up, and then we deploy a VHR just for that. So there is a base one added to that question, but the challenge is it really depends on how much storage you give that second drive.
Yeah,
Before
that
I
makes
go too
sense.
far, before I go too far off of this one, I want to show everybody. I'm trying my Zoom it on Hyper-V console is annoying, so I apologize. But given the situation we got with the internet, I'm just going to blame it on the internet today. There we go. I made this name. First of all, I recommend making something self-documenting. So it's Veeam Product Strategy dash VBR. So it's Veeam Backup and Replication. VSA, so it's a Veeam software appliance, meaning it's not the Windows one. TB for Tech Bytes, because that's the show we're doing. And then my internal DNS name, vps.veeam.local. Okay, so give some thought to that. Maybe that's something you want to do before you start installing. Okay, but that's one of the most important questions you're going to get. Now, you also can get into networking configuration. I will tell you in this environment, I have DHCP, so I'm just going to take DHCP. So and it will just work in my environment. But of course, you can do static configuration as you might need. All right, so I'm going to go to my next option, and this is actually super important. I'm actually going to make a decision, an executive decision, to have my time synchronized to my local domain controller.
Yeah, so why is that so important, Rick? What if they don't have it synchronized here?
Well, the reality is time is actually, well, it's super important. But second of all, the the immutability is administered by the time, right? So when we think about that immutability retention duration, so that's super important. So I'm actually going to go by the domain controller. So give yourself some intentionality on what you want to do for time. But in my environment, my domain controller, DCO2, it is the authoritative time source in my environment. So just ask yourself that question, right? And that is what I have set to be the time server. And it accepted it, by the way. And the reason why is because if I went out to the internet, I know in this particular environment that's blocked, right? So I kind of found that out recently. All right, so I'm going to progress through. Let's see. Now I'm going to get probably the first of two most important questions, right? So we're going to do the password for Veeam admin and then the Veeam Security Officer. But Kirsten, tell us a little bit about how folks should go about making the password here.
So the password really needs to be a hard password. It has to follow the DISA STIG guidelines, right? So you're not going to be able to do password 123 bang, and you're going to have to actually come up with something with, so it's with like each character has to be different. You can have two characters that are the same in a row. You can have certain numbers included, symbols, and different things like that. Like you can see here, Rick made a really easy password that anybody could probably guess if they put their mind to it. However, it follows the rules because it actually has a different character between
In the
each
space. Yeah.
letter. So, and what you need to remember too about the password, right, is that this expires automatically during a certain time period, right? I think it's maybe 30 days or 90 days or something like that. Because I know in my environment where I have VSA set up, I'll be in the lab working hard, and then I won't be in the lab for a while, and then I log in again. It's like, I immediately have to change the password. So that is a factor you need to consider as well.
Yeah, and I'm getting heckled by Marcus, aka Dynamic, because the the spacing like this is correct. Don't do this at home. But I do it this way for showcasing, but it does have to be a hard password. But on a very serious note, make it a password and store it in a safe place. It has to be complex. I believe it has to be 12 or 14 characters long. Spaces count, as you can see with what I've done here. But on a serious note, make this a hard password. And for serious answers, Marcus, no, it's not what I use for real systems, but for showcasing. And that way it's easy to remember. And I got muscle memory on that password. That's why I do that. All right. So once we have a password, Kirsten, what do you forecast is going to be the next thing?
We're going to have to set up the two-factor authentication, which I was almost jumping ahead, thinking
Yeah.
that we need to go to the security officer. But
Well, that's
um,
next.
yeah, so this is just basically making sure that no unauthorized access is able to get into the Veeam software appliance, the Veeam
So
backup
Marcus,
server.
aka Dynamic, when we did this in the preview at an event recently, I had him set it up and give me the code. So I've taken my phone here, and I've used this QR code. And again, this lab system is going to be destroyed by the end of the day. Okay, so don't get too excited about it. I'm using the Authly application, which is anything that can take one-time password can use this QR code. So it's found Veeam. I searched. Camera's not so good. Sorry when I get up like that. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it. Let's see. It should come in with that server name, and it's very long because of the length here. But basically, I'm going to save this one-time password here. So now I have it. Let me make sure that it is in here. Yep. So I am now paired on my phone with this one-time password. So this one-time password will be what I need for, I got to put the code in. So let's go with 689092, and I got to move quick. So I put that code in, and this particular user is now paired for multi-factor authentication. Now, the next question is, what do I do with the security officer? And one of the options down here is skip setup of the security officer. Don't do it. I highly don't recommend you doing this because should the password change, should you forget the password of Veeam admin, Veeam SO can manage a reset. All right. I may or may not have had to do that myself in the lab for a real system. Okay. So now the Veeam security officer, guess what, Kirsten? Same password rules, right?
Mm-hmm. It has the same password rules. And the security officer, a lot of times when I use it, it's just really to approve some operations. Like, for example, if you are a Veeam 1 user and you wanted to start monitoring your Veeam software appliance, you'll actually have to send a request, and the Veeam security officer would have to approve that request. So any type of little approvals for operations in your if for VBR, it's going to have to be approved by the security officer first. So really adding that second layer of security.
And the important thing to note, it cannot have the same password as Veeam admin. May or
Yeah.
may not have found that one out myself the hard way too. But the most important thing is do not do the skip. That is super important. Do the work there. All right, I've got everything I need. guess what, friends? I'm going to do a quick zoom so you can see this nice little summary, the name, the IP, the DNS, and then the fact that the two other roles are configured. It summarizes it pretty nicely for you. And then you just hit finish, and boom, you got a Veeam. So it's really exciting in that regard here. So we'll let this finish up. There'll be one more kind of boot here, and we're doing good on time. Appreciate y'all's patience because we've had some just the internet, just being the internet here today.
We
Kirsten,
do
anything?
have
Yeah.
we do have the map ready if we want
Oh yeah.
to go ahead and do a second map hit real quick because we have people from all over joining in.
Ooh.
So in North America and Central America, we have Mexico. Thanks for attending. If we switch over to Europe, we have Norway. I hope you guys are having some nice weather over there. The last time I was in Norway, it was a bit cold. If we go to South America, we also have Brazil and Argentina. And then in the Asia Pacific region, Pakistan joins us. So thank you guys for coming in, even for you guys are staying up a little bit later to see how to set up the Veeam software appliance. Hopefully you guys are learning something and you can start implementing this in your environment.
Yeah, one thing I'll say here. So once you get those settings done, right, the installation is finalized, and the different settings and services will get going. Oh, we even got UAE. Welcome, Abhishek. Thank you. But you get all these services started. And so if you're familiar with Veeam Backup and Replication, say on Windows, a lot of the same concept services will be run. But the big difference is that this is packaged. You won't have to use the Windows environment to do this. I'll take a quick moment while we're watching this go. Just I mentioned I'm using Hyper-V, right? So I have a Hyper-V cluster and it's sitting in the mix here. So when I mentioned I had some magic of television, basically the one that you saw me boot was here. And then kind of my step two was here, right? So all I did was start them both. And then 1.2 was kind of progressing along in a way so that it just saved the time. So you wouldn't have to watch this reboot. Now, I'm using Hyper-V. The lab has several other hypervisors. There's a lot to think about when it comes to your backup repositories, right? There is the capability of doing an all-in-one installation. So your Veeam Backup and Replication server is also your repository. That is an option. I just would need more backup storage on that second drive. The way to scale it is to use the Veeam infrastructure appliance, which provides roles like repositories and proxies, right? So for those that are out there, it sounds like a few of you have done that. Here you'll see there it is. It just finished the last bit of service configuration, and boom, you got a Veeam. Look at that, right on time. So this is a really important thing, Kirsten. So let me see if I can find my mouse. There it is. Walk us through some of this important information right here, Kirsty.
Yeah, so you can see your IP address and your host name. This is basically how you're going to access the Veeam backup appliance, right? And then you have the host management console. So this is a lot of the times where you're going to do some configuration. It's a bit different from the backup, the software appliance user interface where you're going to create jobs, different things like that. Host management console is kind of more of where you're going to manage some of the operations, some of the users and the roles and different things like that. So yeah, and then within here you can also see how you can access the Veeam Backup and Replication web UI, which is a really slick UI if you ask me. It's very modern, refreshed, easy to use, and even through that user interface as well, if you say, hey, I want to, I really want to have the Windows client on my server as well. I want to be able to access that Windows console. You can actually download that right from here as well. I can't remember if it's within the host management console, you can download that, or if it's just within VBR itself. Do you remember, Rick?
It's in the regular web page, and it's not
Okay.
quite ready to run yet. So let's see here. Am I doing something wrong? 32.111. I could put DNS in, but again, I do a lot of build up and tear down in the lab here. But the thought here is once the services are started, and I might be just a little bit too quick, so I apologize for that. But we'll go to that website here. No, not that website. I had to switch computers, friends, kind of last minute, so I apologize for that. But basically, when we look at the IP address or the DNS name, and then separately that of the web UI and host management console, we kind of have everything we need right there. So let me go back over here and see if I can get some action. So, as the web service will start here. I apologize for keeping you waiting, but basically
Yeah.
right here is what you need once those services are ready. They're starting in the background, and the other thing I would highlight is right here. Let me see if I can get it. Not there. Right here. There's important information on what version is running here. So it says it's 2067. So as of today, 16th April 2026, that is the latest and greatest. So it's really important to note. Day one, it's deployed, it's hardened, but day two, you're subject to updates, and those are managed in that host management UI. So when we look at what we have going on right here with the host management console, that one is where that second URL is where we would do our updates. And it's important to note, the updates are mandatory. You cannot not do them. So let's see if I can do this.
Yeah.
10443.
What's great is I just updated my Veeam backup server and my Veeam software appliance this week, and it was like as soon as I logged in, it was like you have updates, and it just started updating them. So it's, really nice. You don't necessarily have to download something to update the software appliance. It's already downloaded and takes it and updates it for you.
Yeah. So sorry to keep you all waiting, but something's not happening as expected here. I think it's because I did this twice, and I probably have an IP address issue with some of the lab shenanigans I'm doing. But basically, this one's ready to go, and we would log in and start creating our first backup job. So that is how you deploy the Veeam software appliance. And there's one other thing I want to highlight, Kirsten. What's that other thing we're working on nowadays?
I want to say it's Veeam On, man. I think is it Veeam On is coming up. It's right around the corner. We're having, 3 in-person events, and then we also have our online event. So you listeners at home can, just tune in online. You'll be able to see the keynote. You'll be able to see some breakout sessions. And then for people located in New York City, London, or Sydney, you can attend in person and get to hear from Veeam experts about what's coming from Veeam, what's new from Veeam, any top secret news that we have yet to share. So it should be a good time. I mean, Veeam On's always an exciting time at Veeam, and it's exciting for our customers to hear what's coming and then also get feedback from them about what they want from us, right, Rick?
Yeah, indeed. So we do have a couple tricks up our sleeve. It is materially different this year. The three events, New York, London, Sydney, spaced through the year, each are going to have their own news. They're each are going to have their own innovation milestones. They are one day. And the New York event isn't VeeamON America. It is really just targeting that East Coast, Baltimore to Boston type of thing. And London is basically capturing the UK, and Sydney is Eastern Australia, because there are going to be VeeamON tours throughout the world, which you can also find up here. So that map is already ready to go. So for local regions, and the online experience will be a global reach, right? So that New York keynote will be online. And then I know I've already committed to some of the VeeamON tours around the world. So that is what's up. But anyways, let's bring it home. Incredible, just quick shout outs, Belgium, France, UAE, a couple others for joining. Thank you so much. I had some technical issues today. I even had to put another computer on my desk. We had some fun, but our producers, they make magic of it. So thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Felicia. Kirsten, thanks for keeping me honest on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope to be on here again soon talking Veeam.
All right, everyone, that concludes this episode of Tech Bites. Take care, and we'll see you next time.